Okay, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we are going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
We are going to deep dive into the world of cleaning the house.
Right, cleaning the house.
Now this may sound
Sounds exciting.
a little bit boring at first, but trust me, stick with us.
It's gonna be good.
We have found a really cool English lesson on YouTube.
Okay.
And
YouTube English lesson.
and it's about cleaning the house. But
For English learners.
it is very insightful, and there's a lot of really good information in here.
I think people are gonna be surprised
Yeah.
at some of the stuff we pull out.
You're going to be surprised how much you can learn from this.
For sure.
We have a dialogue, we have a vocabulary explanations, we
Yeah.
have example sentences. We're going to be talking about the importance of cleaning,
Methods of cleaning.
and even how to clean.
Right.
So our mission today is to pull out all the good stuff,
Yeah.
all the good info from this YouTube English lesson about cleaning.
I like it.
So let's start with, I guess,
The basic.
the very beginning.
Well, even before the beginning.
Yeah. Oh,
Before you even start cleaning, sometimes you walk into a room and you're just like, oh my goodness,
yeah.
this is
What is this?
such a mess.
Such a mess. Yeah. So
that's where we're gonna start, is with this phrase, such a mess.
yeah. So what does that?
What does that mean?
What does that really mean? Like, what's the feeling behind that?
Give us a feeling.
Such a mess.
I would say it's beyond just dirtiness,
Right.
right? Like
Okay.
something can be
Go please.
kind of dirty, but not really a mess.
Yeah, it's disorganization.
It's disorganization.
It's things out of place.
Clothes on the floor,
Yeah.
shoes on the desk.
Shoes on the desk. Why are there shoes on the desk?
Exactly.
You know, and it's just that feeling of like, this is...
Overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
This is too much.
This is too much. And so that's kind of the starting point of this whole journey. Yeah, the clean journey. But in this case, this English lesson.
Okay, so from that point of like, okay, this is such a mess, we need to do something.
Yeah.
We get into the concept of chores.
Chores.
Chores. So chores are
Chores.
these tasks that need to be done around the house.
Yeah.
On a,
Regular basis.
regular basis. Yeah.
Okay, so what are some examples of chores?
So they give a bunch of good examples in this lesson. Doing laundry,
Okay, laundry.
making the bed,
Yeah,
taking out the garbage.
Yeah.
I feel like those are pretty universal.
those are pretty universal, yeah.
What were some of your chores growing up?
Actually, my main chore was chopping wood.
Chopping wood.
Wow.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
a pretty serious chore.
It was pretty serious, and I was not a fan.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But, you know, it built character.
There you go.
So, chores are essential. I mean,
Maintaining a home.
you can't live in a home
Not for very long.
without doing any chores.
No, you're going to end up with a very big
A
mess.
huge mess, yeah.
So the core of this English lesson, though, is a really
It's a really
fun dialogue
Yeah, it's a fun dialogue.
between a husband and a wife.
Husband and wife.
And they are preparing for guests.
Okay.
So this is relatable.
This is super relatable.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But the wife is a little bit stressed.
yeah, a little bit stressed because
The house is a mess.
the house is a mess and the guests are coming over soon.
Yeah, so she says, honey,
Honey,
the house is such a mess.
such a mess. I need you to help me tidy up a bit.
Tidy up!
My boss and her husband
Oh, the boss.
are coming over for dinner.
That adds a little bit of pressure.
Yeah. So the house needs to be spotless.
Spotless?
All right, so what does the husband say?
Well, he says the classic line.
The classic line.
I'm in the middle of something right now.
I'm in the middle of
I'll
something.
be there in a second.
I'll be there in a second.
Which anyone who's ever lived with another person knows.
Yeah, that's code for.
That's code for like 20 minutes.
Be like, I'm going to finish this video game first.
Right.
Or whatever it is I'm doing. Exactly.
Okay, so then the wife is like, okay, well, here's a list of things to do.
Right.
You
Okay.
got guests coming over, so
Time is ticking.
time is ticking. What are we going to do?
So she says we need to do the dishes.
Okay, dishes.
We need to get groceries.
Great.
We need to sweep and mop the floors.
Sweep and mop.
And we need to dust all the furniture.
Okay, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So then they start talking about, you know, who's going to do what?
Right, they divide up the labor a little bit.
Division of labor, so.
Husband says, well, I have to go to the mall.
To the mall.
But when I get back,
Okay.
I can clean the floors.
Okay, clean the floors.
You can go to the supermarket and get the groceries.
Okay, so mall, supermarket,
Two important places.
two important places, and then later on we'll talk
A
about
vocabulary there.
a little bit more about those places.
Yeah.
Okay, so the husband goes to the mall, the wife goes to the supermarket.
Time passes.
Time passes, right. And then the husband comes home.
He walks in. He's like, wow.
Wow, the house looks really good.
The house looks really good. You did a great job.
You did a great job.
But we still have to set the table.
Oh, yeah.
And vacuum the rug.
Okay.
Oh, and this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
A little bit of a
mishap?
A mishap.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
So the husband's like, great, I'm going to vacuum the rug. He goes to plug in the vacuum cleaner.
Okay.
And the wife's like, oh, don't turn it on.
Don't turn it on.
And then boom,
Okay.
the vacuum cleaner explodes.
What?
I know.
That's crazy.
It's a little bit dramatic.
That's a little dramatic. Yeah, but it gets the point across.
Yeah, I guess it's memorable.
It's memorable. Okay, so that's kind of the main part of the dialogue. But now let's talk about some of the vocabulary.
All right, let's get into language takeaways here.
Yeah, language takeaway. So
what are some of the words and phrases
yeah, what are some
that we need to pay attention to?
important words and phrases? So we've already mentioned it, but let's talk about tidy up.
Tidy.
What does it mean to tidy up?
I think we kind of touched on it before.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it, but to
Yeah.
really
get into it.
get into it, it means to put things back in their place,
Yeah.
to organize things, to make things neat.
Right. So like in the example with the shoes on the desk,
Yeah,
tidying up would be taking the shoes off the desk and putting them
and putting them
back on the floor.
back on the floor. Okay, so it's not necessarily,
It's like cleaning.
yeah, it's not deep cleaning.
It's more just like
Organizing.
organizing, visual order.
Visual order. Yeah, okay, what's another word?
Another word we need to talk about is spotless.
Spotless.
Okay, so spotless.
Spotless means really clean.
Really, really clean.
Like no dirt at all.
Yeah.
You can eat off the floor.
Yeah, you could eat off the floor. I mean, maybe not literally, but
Right.
you know, that's the kind of clean that you're aiming for.
Especially when your boss is coming over for dinner.
Yeah, okay. So tidy up, spotless. What about mall?
Mall.
We talked about the mall. The mall.
So a mall is what?
A mall is a large building,
Right.
usually enclosed,
Enclosed, yeah.
with lots of different stores inside.
Lots of different stores. And now in the UK,
They call that a shopping center.
a shopping center.
Shopping center, yeah.
So same thing, different word,
Same thing, different word.
depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And there was also the word
Groceries.
groceries. Yeah, groceries. So
Groceries is kind of a key word here.
yeah, it's a key word. So what are groceries?
Groceries are the food items
Okay.
and other household goods that you buy
Yeah.
at a supermarket.
At a supermarket, so your bread, your milk,
Your fruits, your vegetables.
cleaning supplies.
Yeah, all that stuff. And we use the word groceries in a lot of different ways.
Right.
So we say grocery store,
Grocery store?
we say grocery shopping,
Grocery shopping.
and we say grocery list.
Grocery lists.
So it's a very common word, and there's also a little difference between Canadian and American English here,
So in Canada, they tend to use grocery store.
even for big supermarket.
Yeah, even for a big supermarket, whereas in the US, they might say supermarket more often.
Right, supermarket for the big one,
For the big one, and then grocery store maybe for a smaller.
a smaller one, yeah.
Okay, so that's groceries.
Groceries, okay.
Now, the lesson also talked about some
Fluency builder.
fluency builders,
Yeah,
which I thought was really interesting.
right.
So these are ways to say things more naturally.
More naturally, more like a native speaker.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the first one?
The first one was, instead of just saying I'm busy,
Okay, I'm busy,
you can say,
which is fine.
which is fine, but it sounds a
A
little
little abrupt.
abrupt. So a more natural way to say it is, I'm in the middle of something right now,
I'm in the middle of something right now,
which implies that
which implies that you're going to be free soon.
eventually,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so it's just a little softer.
It's a softer way to say it.
Yeah.
What about instead of I'll be there soon?
Okay, I'll be there soon.
You can say,
So there's a better way to say that.
yeah, so instead of I'll be there soon,
I'll be there soon.
or I'm coming,
I'm coming.
you can say I'll be there in a second.
I'll be there in a second. Now, we all know that's not true.
Probably not true.
Yeah.
It's an exaggeration.
It's an exaggeration, but it's very common.
It's a very common expression.
Yeah. And it just means that
I'll be there soon.
I'll be there soon. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
But maybe not in a second.
Okay, and then the last fluency builder
The last one.
was about how to make suggestions
Okay.
more politely.
More politely.
So instead of saying,
Like, can you do this?
can you sweep the floor?
Yeah. Or could you please sweep the floor?
Could you please sweep the floor?
You could say.
You could say,
Why don't you clean the floors and I'll go to the supermarket?
so it's like a suggestion
It's a suggestion.
with a reciprocal action.
Yeah.
I'll do this if you do that.
I'll do this if you do that. It's just a nicer way.
Much nicer way than just giving a command.
Yeah, like do this.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we talked about the vacuum cleaner explosion.
Yeah, that was a memorable moment.
As a memorable moment, and it actually leads into a discussion about some different ways of saying things.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are in the English-speaking world.
Regional variations.
Regional variations. So in American English, we would say
vacuum the rug.
Vacuum the rug or vacuum the carpet.
Vacuum the carpet.
But in British English, you might say
hoover the rug.
Hoover the rug.
Yeah.
Or even
hoover the house.
Hoover the house.
So Hoover is actually a brand name.
Yeah, it's a brand name of vacuum cleaner.
Right.
But it's become so common.
So common.
That people just use it.
As a verb.
As a verb, yeah.
Like in American English, we say, pass me a Kleenex.
Pass me a Kleenex.
Yeah.
And Kleenex is a brand name.
It's a brand name, but it's become synonymous with
tissue.
With tissue.
Yeah. So it's interesting how
those brand names
become
verbs.
Become verbs, yeah.
Okay, and then there's also this interesting little comment about
gender roles.
Gender roles.
In the dialogue, right?
Right. The host pointed out that in the dialogue, it was the man.
It was the man.
Who was doing most of the housework.
Yeah. And they called him a house husband.
A house husband.
Which is interesting because it used to be more traditional for the woman to do
all of the housework.
Yeah, all the housework. But now,
especially in North America, it's much more common.
Much more common for the
chores to be divided.
The chores to be divided up more evenly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was just an interesting little observation.
Yeah, definitely a sign of the times.
Now, the lesson then goes on to talk about the importance of cleaning.
Okay. Why do we clean?
Yeah, why do we clean? I mean, it's more than just...
Rather than just appearances.
Appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are some of the reasons why cleaning is important?
Well, first of all, it's good for your health.
It's good for your health.
Right, if you clean regularly, you're reducing the amount of dust. Germs.
Bacteria.
All that stuff that can make you sick.
Yeah, it can cause allergies.
Allergies.
It can make asthma worse.
Right.
So it's really important to
keep things clean.
Keep things clean for your physical health.
Physical health, but also mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
How does cleaning affect mental health?
Well, when your space is clean and organized, you tend to feel more calm.
You feel more calm.
Less stressed.
Less stressed.
Less anxious.
Less anxious.
And you can think more clearly.
You can think more clearly.
Yeah, it's almost like
a weight has been lifted.
A weight has been lifted off your mind.
Okay, so cleaning is good for physical health and mental health.
It's also good for organization.
Organization.
Right, if you keep things clean.
Yeah.
You know where things are.
Yeah, you can find things.
You can find things.
Yeah, you don't have to spend hours searching for your keys.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I do often.
I think we all do.
Okay, so organization saves time.
Saves time, saves frustration.
Saves frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, what about socially?
Socially.
How is cleaning important socially?
Well, if you have a clean house.
Yeah.
It shows respect.
Shows respect.
To yourself.
And to your guests.
And to your guests.
Right, it makes people feel more comfortable.
More comfortable.
More welcome.
Yeah, and it just makes you look good.
It makes you look good.
As a host.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and finally, safety.
Safety.
Cleaning is important for safety.
Absolutely.
How so?
Well, if you keep things clean and tidy, you're less likely to trip over things.
Yeah.
Or fall.
Fall, yeah.
If you don't have toys all over the floor.
Right.
Or shoes.
Shoes in the middle of the hallway.
Right, you're just less likely to have an accident.
Less likely to have an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cleaning is important for all these reasons. Yeah, I think we've made a pretty good case for cleaning.
Yeah, so how do we clean?
Okay, so the lesson actually gives some good advice.
Okay.
About effective cleaning strategies.
Okay, tell me more.
So the first thing they say is, make a plan.
Make a plan. Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, you need to think about what tasks need to be done.
Okay.
What rooms need the most attention.
Yeah.
And break down big tasks into smaller tasks.
Okay, so instead of just saying, clean the kitchen.
Right.
You would say,
wash the dishes.
Wash the dishes.
Wipe down the counters.
Wipe down the counters, sweep the floor.
Sweep the floor.
Okay.
So you make it more manageable.
Yeah, break it down into smaller steps.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Gather your tools.
Gather your tools.
So make sure you have everything you need.
So your broom, your mop.
Your broom, your mop.
Your cleaning sprays,
your cleaning sprays, your vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner, trash bags.
Trash bags, all that stuff.
All that stuff.
Have it all ready to go.
Yeah.
Before you start.
Okay, good tip, good tip. What else?
Clean one room at a time.
Clean one room at a time.
Don't try to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Focus on one room.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done.
And then move on to the next one.
To the next one. Okay, so
That way you can see your progress.
you can see your progress and it feels less overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another good tip?
Clean from top to bottom.
Clean from top to bottom.
So start with the high things.
Yeah.
Like dusting the shelves.
Dusting the shelves.
Wiping down the furniture.
Yeah, and then
do the floors last.
do the floors last.
Yeah.
So that
make
you're
sure
not
just
spreading the dirt around.
spreading the dirt around. You
What
know,
about decluttering?
decluttering?
Decluttering is a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. So
Get rid of the stuff you don't need.
yeah,
The stuff you don't use.
yeah, like those old magazines. Because
magazines.
they're just piling up.
Clothes you never wear.
Clothes you never wear.
Just get rid of it, donate it, recycle, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Set a schedule.
Set a schedule.
So don't try to do everything in one day.
Yeah,
Decide what you're gonna do daily.
daily,
What you're gonna do weekly.
weekly, and just stick to it.
Yeah.
Okay, good advice. And finally,
Finally,
what's the last tip?
involve everyone.
Well, involve everyone.
If you live with other people,
Yeah,
don't do it all yourself.
make it a team effort.
Make it a team effort.
Yeah, everybody chips in.
Everybody chips in. It's fair.
It's fair. It gets done faster.
It gets done fast.
Yeah, okay. Now, the lesson then talks about some specific areas to focus on.
Right?
So let's start with the kitchen.
The kitchen.
So the kitchen is often the messiest room,
The heart of the home,
the heart of the home.
but also the heart of the mess.
Yeah. So what are some things we should focus on in the kitchen?
We want to clean the stove regularly.
Okay. Clean the stove,
Wipe down the counters.
wipe down the counter,
Wash the dishes.
wash the dishes, of course.
Ugh. Clean out the fridge.
Yeah, get rid of that old
Get rid of that old food and
Yeah.
take out the garbage.
Take out the garbage. Oh, okay, what about the bathroom?
The bathroom.
Another important room to keep clean.
Yeah, because it can get,
It gets dirty quickly.
yeah.
What are some things we should focus on in the bathroom?
Well, you want to scrub the sink,
Scrub the sink.
scrub the toilet,
Scrub the toilet.
scrub the shower,
Yeah.
and use
Yeah.
disinfectant to
Disinfectant.
kill those germs.
Yeah, because bathrooms can be germy.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the living room?
The living room?
So the living room is where we relax.
Right. It's where we hang out.
We hang out, we watch TV.
We watch TV.
What are some things we should focus on in the living room?
Well, you want to dust the furniture.
Dust the furniture,
Vacuum the carpets.
vacuum the carpets,
Or sweep the floors.
fix the floors, yeah, and just
Bad idea.
tidy up. Yeah, put things back where they belong.
Put things back where they belong.
Okay, and then the bedroom,
The
bedroom-
sanctuary. Our sanctuary for sleep
our sanctuary for sleep
and relaxation.
and relaxation,
Hopefully.
hopefully. So what are some things we should focus on in the bedroom?
Well, you want to make the bed every day.
Okay, and make the
Okay.
bed clothes,
Put away your clothes
your shoes,
and vacuum or sweep the floor.
vacuum or sweep the floor. Okay,
Yeah.
good advice. And then they also mention windows and doors.
Windows and doors.
Now, we often forget about windows and doors.
We do. But
They can get pretty dirty.
they can get pretty dirty. And when they're clean,
It makes a big difference.
it makes a big difference. It lets in more light.
It lets in more light,
It just makes the whole house feel
brighter.
brighter and cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, outdoor areas.
Outdoor area.
Yeah. So if you have a balcony,
A balcony,
a patio, a backyard.
a backyard.
Yeah. You want to keep those clean too.
Right.
So what are some things we can do there?
Well, you want to sweep the walkways.
Sweep the walkways,
Water your plants.
water your plants, and remove any weeds or trash.
Weeds or trash.
And keep it looking good.
Keep it looking good. All right. So we've talked about all the different areas of the house.
Right.
And now the lesson ends with some tips.
Tips for maintaining a clean house.
Yeah, so this is like a review of all the vocabulary.
Yeah, it's a good way to bring everything together.
So let's go through them quickly.
Okay.
We've got such a mess,
Such a mess.
which means
Dirty and disorganized.
dirty and disorganized.
Tidy up.
Tidy up,
Put things back in their place.
put things back in their place, spotless,
Spotless.
really clean, no dirt.
Really clean, no dirt.
Really clean, no dirt.
Then in the middle of something.
In the middle of something.
Busier.
Food items.
Items and other things that you buy at the supermarket.
Your household tasks.
Groceries. Groceries, food items, and other things that you buy at the supermarket.
At the supermarket, immaculate.
Immaculate.
Another word for spotless.
Another word for spotless.
Perfectly clean.
Perfectly clean.
Okay, do the laundry.
Do the laundry.
Wash your clothes.
Wash your clothes.
Dish detergent.
Dish detergent.
Soap for your dishes.
Soap for your dishes.
And
Right?
garbage. Trash.
Rubbish.
Rubbish in British English.
Right.
So there you have it.
A whole bunch of vocabulary.
A whole bunch of vocabulary.
About cleaning.
About cleaning.
Yeah.
And how to talk about it.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are some of the main things that we've learned?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that cleaning is not just about making things look nice.
It's so much more.
It's so much more.
Yeah.
It's about your health.
Your health.
Mental well-being.
It's well-being.
Organization.
Social life.
Your social life.
Your safety.
Your safety. It's about everything.
It's about everything.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much we learn from just one simple English lesson.
Right.
About cleaning.
From vocabulary.
Yeah.
To cultural insights.
To cultural insights, yeah.
To practical advice. So the takeaway here is that you can learn English.
You can learn English.
From anything.
From anything.
Even from cleaning the house.
Yeah, and I think that leads us to a final thought for our listeners.
Okay, what's that?
How does your approach to cleaning reflect your priorities?
Okay.
And your cultural background?
Okay.
What small change could you make? Based on what you learned today, that would have the biggest impact.
The biggest impact.
On your space.
On your space.
And on your well-being.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Food for thought.
Food for thought.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.